This is Alex with Utah Sustainable Gardening. When I first come to prune a tree, I usually take a closer look at it than I did with the bid. The bid, I can spend as much time pruning as I do bidding if I look too closely. So we come down here and take a closer look there at the base. There is a lot of sap there. It's kind of frothy and bubbly. It looks like damage from borers. This is one of 3 trees I planted about 8 years ago. I have intermittent damage with borers. I expect that. This is the most I've seen. So this is not a good sign to see that much damage. As I go up the tree, I came to that spot right there. And that is, let's see if I can get you through the branches here, more damage than I've seen on any of these 3 trees combined on the top, ever. Even the stuff that's damaged this year. So we've got a tree that's becoming weaker. It's not fighting off the borers. This may or may not be borer damage. I'm going to actually cut this branch off and dissect it for another video. But when you come to prune those trees, you need to take a look and look for problems. The rest of the tree seems to be doing nicely. I don't see an abnormal number of dead branches. There's always a few, usually smaller. There's a few twigs in here that are dead. But the damage at the bottom and the damage up there indicate there might be something more serious going on. And it might be that the borers at the bottom made it all the way to the top, but it's not really quite looking like it. So I'm gonna have to do some further investigation. And with fruit trees, we simply do not know all the diseases that they can run into, short of sending it into a lab. The ones we do know, I can't diagnose it just from visual. So remember, do your research before you prune. Make sure that you know where the damage is. Because that's damaged there, I'm going to have a different way of pruning this tree, because I want to take that damage out. I don't want it to spread, whatever it is, and I want to investigate it so that I can keep an eye on it on other trees. If we go over to this tree right here, we'll see that there are some spots with some damage in it. That spot right there, it's hard to see in this angle, but that's got a similar but less extensive damage. There's a spot right over there that's showing damage, and then there's one right there where I've got gum coming out. It's cleaner, smoother gum, so it's probably not a borer here, but I've also got a crack underneath. And those are things that all need to be addressed. I may not do anything this year, but I will be paying attention in the future to make sure that I'm not skipping a problem. We'll be paying a lot more attention to these limbs that have that kind of damage. Now, I want to show you the bottom of a relatively clean tree. This has got a few little things of damage from borers. There's a lot less sap coming out. It means there's a lot less problem. Usually I have problems every other year. Usually I don't have relatively fresh sap in the summer, or pardon me, in the winter, so this is a little bit different, and I'll have to keep an eye on these. I would prefer not to use harsh chemicals down here, and having borers that attack primarily the base, that is very hard to avoid without using those chemicals. So I'm going to have to make some hard decisions about these trees and what they need in the future. So again, reminder, this is the 3rd time. Inspect your trees before you start cutting. Make sure that you see the problems. And also with the larger tree, anything that's overhead level, there are problems you'll see. This is an addendum to the earlier post, and it is really hard to see with this lighting and the backlighting, but I've actually got more damage here. It's actually at the base of that limb and the crotch of another, so I didn't look as hard as I should have. But I may be saying goodbye to this tree in a couple of years. I'm not going to give up on it, but That's right in the crotch of 2 different branches. If I lose those, I'm not going to have much of a tree left. So I'm going to need to keep an eye on this during the summer, and let's face it, if I take out that much out of the tree, I'm going to put it in shock regardless. So we've got a situation here that may end the life of the tree. But it may be a couple years. The tree may still be productive for 2, 3, 4, maybe even another 10 years. It's very hard to determine at this point, especially with an unknown. Some people say, oh, you need to go have that tested. The cost of the tree is probably less than the cost of the test. So while that would be a great thing to do, I may check into the cost. I probably won't do it because this tree cost probably 30 bucks in a pot at the local nursery, maybe 40 bucks now. And even if it's 50 bucks, the cost and the hassle of the test may not actually be worth it, and the tree still may be productive for a while, and the test isn't going to change anything. So I'm not really going to get anything value from testing it. So keep that in mind also. Some people say test. Economically, I'm not getting a benefit off the test. Fruit-wise, I'm not getting a benefit off the test. So I'm going to keep it at that. This is Utah Sustainable Gardening with Alex Grover, Manana.